we've been talking ASUU. I mean, everybody's talking about ASUU for the last 1 week or two. But there are lots of parents out there who are totally clueless on what's going on. We know about an agreement last year, November, with the federal government, the fact that the government did not uphold their own side of the agreement. Where are we today? What exactly is the issue, and why did ASUU go on strike? So that people, mothers and fathers out there, can have a clear understanding what is going on and where we are.
Well, the issues in the agreement has to do with, one, the fulfillment of the terms of Memorandum of Action,
yes,
which government entered into with ASUU last year.
Yes.
In 2012, we had the Memorandum of Understanding.
Yes.
It didn't work. In 2013, there was another Memorandum of Understanding. It didn't work. So last year, there was the agreement that we should move away from Memorandum of Understandings to Memorandum of Action.
Okay. Could you recap what those things are again, very quickly?
Yeah, and the Memorandum of Action is that, one, government was going to inject 220 billion into the education sector for revitalization of equipment and infrastructures in the university. Second is to renegotiate the contentious 2009 agreement. The third is to release the report of the forensic audit into various universities in Nigeria, and consequent upon that report, pay academics arrears of their end academic allowances. And that that they were going to provide a platform where our union will be able to interact with state governors. Because you find a situation where a state governor will have a university it cannot fund, and then abandon that to establish a new one. We thought that that's not in the interest of Nigerians, and consequently, we needed a platform to discuss all of this with the state governors.
So as ASUU has brought that up again, what's the government saying concerning this? Where are they on this? Is it that they've not met any of it at all? Or have they come to negotiation table to say, okay, this is what we can do right now, hang in there for us?
Well, there has not been a comprehensive call for negotiation by government. However, you will recall that by the time we started agitating to go on strike, government says it has released 20 billion. And if you compare 220 to 20 billion, you find out that it's a far cry.
The 20 billion was before the strike. You know that there was a release. The 20 billion was about like 3 weeks ago. And there were two funds, one for ASUU and another for retired the airways workers that had not been paid their pension since.
That money is not for ASUU. It is the 20 billion. In fact, the minister had come out to correct that in his latest address shortly after we commenced the strike. That 20 billion is the 20 billion on top of the 220 that government ought to have released since last year. And that 20 billion was to go into, revitalization of decaying infrastructures in the universities.
I'm even more concerned because it seems to me like the federal government, the ASUU, they are not sensitive to the plight of the Nigerian students, because the people you are really fighting for are the ones who are suffering the most. Every year, if you go through the university system, you know how many months you are at home and there is no school. So I'm concerned, because is there no other way you can reach your agreements and have your understandings without necessarily resulting to strike actions?
You see, this strike, contrary to your opinion, is about the students. All of us keep talking about students that are either half-baked or that are not baked at all. ASUU is saying that let us produce graduates that are internationally, globally competitive. The way to do that is to provide the right enabling environment for these students to learn. And we realize that both students and lecturers are partners in the business of knowledge production. And therefore, if ASUU says we want to minister to our welfare alone without bothering about our students, you find out that in no too distant a future, there will be nobody to take over from us as lecturers. And that is why we keep insisting that education must be accessible. And the government proposal to also hike fees in Nigerian universities, if it is allowed, more than 70% of the students in our universities today will not come back to the school.
Right. The chairman of the negotiating committee has said that there are no plans to hike the fees, and that what the committee is agreeing to is to have a student loan, a student bank, where they can access loans to fund their education. That the federal government cannot do this alone.
Well, you see, the chairman of the negotiating team, Dr. Wale Babalaki, is actually the one that has brought us to this point.
Really?
Oh.
Yes.
It's causing problems.
Because, one, he feels that whatever he says on the negotiating table should hold sway. ASUU, as a union of intellectuals, will not accept that.
Okay.
And then the question about education loan bank. The education bank is not a novel idea. It's not original to Babalaki. It has been mooted in Nigeria before. It failed. Unlike other specialized banks in Nigeria. For example, we have the agricultural bank. How many farmers can access loan from the agricultural bank?
Right.
We have the Bank of Industries. There are all the small scale and medium enterprises cannot access loan from these banks. What is it that will make the education bank different? Not only that, the proposal with the education bank is, for example, if you got $1 million, if a student got $1 million from the education bank, 70% of the money, according to Babalaki, will be paid to the bank and 30% to the student. Now, the student will be so indebted that he will begin to pay that loan when he gets a job. The question is, in Nigeria today, if you got a loan to go to school,
what's the guarantee?
Several years after, what is the guarantee?
You get a job.
And in some other societies where the education bank system is in practice,
right,
you find a number of young people committing suicide.
Okay.
It's on the net. You can check it out.
So,
all right, let's go on.
Obviously, you were not the first person we've had to ask questions concerning ASUU, and the recurring issue had been that the person you're negotiating with isn't who you feel has your interest or willing to come to the middle ground. So rather than going on strike, shouldn't your campaign be that let us have someone who wants the best for us to negotiate with, change the strategy from who are we talking to, and then before thinking of going on strike? Because this strike, people are saying that it's because you heard that Labour is going on strike and you feel they are going to settle Labour. People now said, let's quickly go on strike, because when they want to share this money, you should reach us in ASUU too. And a lot of people are saying that's what happened, because it was just out of the blue.
Impromptu.
Well, that opinion is not correct. It's not correct because we rose from our NEC meeting in Calabar 4 months ago with a decision to begin to sensitize Nigerians, the media, labor, all the sectors of the Nigerian society about the plight of education in Nigeria. And we have also written to the Minister, Honorable Minister of Education, informing him of our desire to meet with him.
Okay.
We held several meetings with the minister. We wrote several letters. We have lobbied, sent all manner of emissaries, emir, traditional rulers. Think of it. All failed. So the only option is the strike option. And it's working.
Right.
Because the day we went on strike, we declared strike on Sunday, 4th of November. By 5th, Monday, the minister was on air addressing the nation, which he failed to do 4 months ago when, when we withdrew from the negotiating table. We went straight to his office.
But Veronica, go ahead, please.
Okay. All right, if you are having this back and forth and you haven't got a tangible result, how far is ASUU willing to go? And then what would be the middle ground for this? Where do you see the decision, or you come into an agreement with the government and then calling off the strike?
Let me pause you for a second. Chudi's been holding for a while. Chudi, are you still there?
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead,
good
please.
morning. Yeah,
good morning. Go ahead.
Please, I want to ask Mr. Dele, please, and you and your colleagues. You see, these leaders, they got education on a platter of gold from the missionary. They never wanted anything good for Nigerians. Their children are not in this country studying. Their children are abroad, so they are not losing anything. But we parents are feeling the pains. I can understand you. The only language the government will understand is strike. And if you don't give it to them, you are not getting anything. But you people should please look at the poor parents. Our kids, our children are at home eating our food, demanding, making requests, writing bills for you. We are not finding it very funny. Please.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chidi. So
you see, I just want to appeal to parents. There is no gain without a pain.
Okay.
And we cannot restructure a society if we don't want to, you know,
inconvenience ourselves. We just need to understand that all of this effort is to make the university system better in Nigeria.
But the government doesn't have money.
And also to put pressure on government, because you see, yes, students will stay longer than necessary in school. But also when they graduate, what is this?
So how long are you guys going to go on this? Like the question I asked, to ensure there is an agreement.
They say they don't have money, sir.
No, they
That's
have
the
money.
problem.
Last month, Polaris Bank was bailed out with 800 billion.
From where?
Ask government. Between 1999 and today, the federal government of Nigeria has spent 1.3 trillion bailing out banks. And those who collapse the bank are working freely in Nigeria.
So, sir, but I heard that the federal government hasn't initiated any dialogue since the strike started. This is just about a week now.
That is correct.
How long do you think they're going to take before you guys will meet?
It's the same as
It's the usual pattern. The first 1 week will be in denial. The second week that we're entering now will be to coerce our leaders.
Are too willing to go.
Right. Unfortunately, we have to round up on this. Do you have a quick tweet?
Yes, Tosin says, I believe ASUU should have formed itself into a lobbying group where they sponsor representatives to the National Assembly to promote their interests rather than this disruptive strike. Eat, Pray, Work says, our government are so insensitive. Their kids are abroad. Education banks, yes, but this is a government that has done very minimum on their part. No difference. Keep licensing private institutions. I'm a Nigerian student, but this strike is necessary.
All right. Unfortunately, we have to round up. But thank you for helping us understand and clarifying the side of ASUU. We'll try to see someone from the Ministry of Education or from the Minister of Labor to help us get a better understanding of the part of the federal government. But I think if we don't leave with anything, is that we have to ensure that the demands ASUU is making, at least there's a negotiation going on, and we get to some kind of middle ground. And that's at least so that the kids can go back to school. All right, that's all we can take on the show today. Hope you learned quite a bit as we did. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.